There we go.
Marketing, entrepreneurship, and all things small business. You're listening to the Jurassic Marketing's Triceratops. Now, here's your host, Justin Miller.
We are back and switching gears, and if you saw me there, I had my headphones so loud.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing. Like listening to that intro at a super high volume, it's kind of almost scary.
Yeah, it hits you in the face. So we're switching gears. So the book came out. The book is out. The Magic of Newsletter Marketing is out. It's available. If you're a listener of the show, it's free. Go to JurassicMarketing.com/book. We'll ship it to you in the U.S. only. So, newsletters are out. They're still important, but not as far as our podcast this quarter. And EDDM and new mover campaigns are in. So, my promise, by the end of the episode here, we're going to explain what on earth EDDM is, how it works, how to get started without wasting a ton of money, and a ton of paper if you care about that too. But first off, what on earth?
I mean, if it wasn't written right in front of me, I would not know.
What is EDDM?
I would say EDDM is like a music style with an extra D. I'm like, we DJing
It's
here?
almost as fun and as exciting as that, right?
I suppose, yeah.
No, not electronic dance music. So EDDM, direct mail world, is every door direct mail. So that means you're going to hit every single household that a carrier has in their bag. So they're going to grab a stack of your stuff and put it in every single stack that they have to deliver that day. And you don't have to have a mailing list for it. So I don't have to know 123 Fake Street, 124 Fake Street.
Yep.
You don't have to make that up. So that makes it actually a real friendly product for you to get out the door. Now, the other beautiful part of it, cheaper. Since you're going to every house and they don't have to sort it.
Okay, so that's where I would think that going to more people would be more expensive.
Well, in aggregate, possibly, but per piece, this is one of the cheapest ways to get your message in people's hands. And that's where it shines. So you have some waste on list usually, and we'll talk about that. But you make it back up in low cost per piece. So you don't need addresses. You just need neighborhoods, carrier routes. And some of the information you get for EDDM carrier route is you get households versus businesses. You get average income on that carrier route, and you get household size and age demographics.
And I'm assuming all that info is coming from census data?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Or is it coming from
the USPS directly?
My phone, probably.
Some government entities, it's probably census.
Yeah.
But it means we're not flying blind here. So yes, we're doing a more shotgun approach to marketing, which is typically a no-no, but we still know on that route, we know where the nice houses are at. Here's the average income of that area.
Okay.
We know where the neighborhoods that have kids are at because they're in this age bracket. We can find out things that matter to us. Oftentimes, that's combining with EDDM is great for a provider that serves people in proximate location to their office. Mm-hmm. So 5-10 miles, and we'll dig into that. But yes, you get a little bit of information, which is all that's required for this method. So again, cheap, easy from figuring out who to go to, low postage, sounds good. So this is really the in aggregate version of the old knock on the door, stick stuff in the mailbox or in the door crack. If you get those, the door knockers come around and they stick the flyer. I always get them in our little glass door, and the lawn services do that. They're good about it. We have pest control guys. So this is the closest thing we can do to replicate door-to-door knocking, and obviously much cheaper because no human being involved from your company. So, it's not creepy either.
That's true.
People actually will check the mailbox. They're not sitting there looking at their ring feed on their phone, deciding whether or not they're going to open the door.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids are trained, do not open the door.
Even if you can see them. Yeah. That's the funny thing about the ring is that then you can mess with people too.
Well, yeah.
That's the fun part for me. It's like
you can play back the recorded messages, right?
Yeah, Kevin's not here. You sound like Kevin. He's not here.
Oh, you're actually talking to them.
Sometimes I do.
You have 10 or 15 recorded messages you can use. So.
See, now I haven't done that. That would be kind of fun to just.
What on earth are you doing here?
Yeah, really. Why are you here?
If they don't want your postcard message or whatever, they just throw it away. You don't have to deal with the rejection either. I guess there's another way.
That's true. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And the majority will reject it. That's
something you said earlier, this is going to go to a whole area, but it also gives you info and data that you are probably going to know in this area. I'm hitting everybody, but I can tell you this part of the neighborhood is probably where I'm going to get my response because it's the people I want to market to.
Yeah. Look, if you're a wealth advisor and the route says that, it's primarily multifamily housing and it's super cheap, probably not your market.
Yeah.
So it can be as simple as that too. If you're a pizza shop, you got more leniency on who you go to. Location and closer is going to probably dictate there. And then of course, this is completely different than if you're running digital ads to start with. We don't have any ad blocking, spam complaints, all that stuff. And as with all direct mail, if you've heard me say over and over and over, there's barely any competition in the mailbox. The beauty of direct mail is there's barely anything in there. So that doesn't mean you're going to win by default, but it certainly gives you a leg up if you have the right person, right message, all that fun stuff. So your message lands physically in their hands. There's no scrolling. The spam filter is like the recycle bin they sorted over, but you get more time and more attention than you would via any other media. So that is a win for sure. So let's talk about targeting a little bit and business types. So there are a couple of types of businesses that use this method more than others. Although honestly, it's completely underutilized. Like you're going to start looking for it now, like when you learn what the permit says.
Now that I know it's there, I've heard the term before, but never realized that it even existed. I bet I'm getting hit by some of these people already.
Yeah. So your giveaway, by the way, and marketers are going to notice this, your customer is not. But the giveaway is the address is going to say local postal customer usually.
Okay. I have seen those.
So it doesn't have your name. It has local postal customer. I mean, the permit, the little imprint in the corner or wherever it's at, it's also going to say EDDM. But
okay.
Good business fits for this. Gyms, pizza shops again, so restaurants, and we don't do a ton of work with the restaurant industry because this is one of the few methods that actually you can come out ahead on. Oftentimes the other stuff we do is, unless you have extremely expensive pizza, it would be difficult to get an ROI, but this is one that does work for that. Dentist, anything convenience-based, professional service providers, HVAC, electrician, plumbers, all that fun stuff can use this. But anything where your clients are typically, again, within 5-10 miles, and it depends on your metro area, because some metro areas, 10 miles is like an hour drive.
Yes.
And others, you can actually stretch this out a little further. So it depends. So assuming you're serving your local neighborhood, you still can look through, and we'll talk about getting the routes, but you make judgment calls on that. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make sure that they think of you. So this is an impression, and we'll talk about, what to offer. But getting in front of them cheaply is the goal of EDDM. And of course, we want an ROI too. But I kind of already hinted that it's affordable, scalable, and the postage rates are one reason. So every door direct mail gets some of the lowest, most discounted postage rates of everything. So if you're going to do this, don't apply stamps from the post office on there. Use a service provider or even the tool on the post office website. We, of course, prefer you use us, but this is one you can DIY if you want. It's a little more expensive to do so, but you certainly can. So this is a good entry point for a company that's just starting direct mail. Mm-hmm. And it's because you don't need massive numbers to make this work, and the list is pretty focused, so it's small volume. So if you've never mailed before, this may be where to start if you're serving people that are close to you in proximity. Now the key, as with all direct mail, and I don't know how many times you've heard me say this, repetition. Mm-hmm. Not a one and done.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Well, I'll keep using the pizza shop example. It doesn't mean it's the best example, but it's an easy one for people to get. And you might have gotten pieces in the mail from pizza shops. So pizza shop mails you a postcard with coupons and then never does anything again. Well, you might have redeemed that, but you're not building loyalty. You're not building a brand. For that pizza shop to survive, they need that customer to keep coming back over and over. And you want to set yourself apart. So I'm a massive consumer of pizza. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe one for sure, maybe 2 pizza shops have ever sent me a standalone every door direct mail piece.
I can only think of maybe one in where I live. And you're right. I would probably, there are many times I would be convinced rather quickly if it was like, come in and get free this or do this. You're right. A lot of times pizza, it's like fast food. It's just like, let's go.
Yeah, it's a convenience play for sure. So that means we got to be quick. We got to be that name that comes to mind when they're thinking of where am I going to order from. And this is one way to do that. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is more professional services. So we have a local tree service that we do a campaign for, and this is using every door direct mail. It's essentially emulating putting the flyer in the door again. So it's meant to look like someone walked around and tossed this in your mailbox, which you can't do, by the way. But a tree service example, we pick routes. In their case, we pick them where the trees are in their service area. Imagine that. So it doesn't have to necessarily be like right immediately around their office. That doesn't make sense in this case. But it is in their service area and lined up with what we know they serve, which is trees, which turns out you can see on a map. So that works pretty well. When they do this, they spend around $2,000, give or take. And a couple thousand pieces or more go out. And consistently, they get calls and responses and texts. And so much so and so predictably so that they turn on and off the campaign based on how busy they are, which, if you're listening, drives me nuts because I want you to build capacity to where you can grow. But when you have this down and you have the messaging down and you have kind of the routes down, this is something that is fairly predictable for results. And there's not a lot in the marketing world that functions that way. So this is one of them. So they're actually able to turn on and off that campaign and just fill their trucks, basically, fill their crews. So pizza shop to tree removal, add a couple more zeros behind the other one. Same technique.
Yeah.
And that repetition is key. So as much as they can turn it on and off, they are still hitting the same routes over and over throughout the course of a year. And you're kind of farming that way.
So they're not necessarily, because it seems like every time there's a terrible storm in my area, I don't get direct mail. I get someone knocking on my front door. I don't know if they can look at my roof. So the tree service, the example, they're so top of mind, they don't need to remind you when your tree fell down. You know them already.
Yeah, well, and there's neglected maintenance and things rather than the storm. Storm damage is a completely different thing, and we have another campaign we can talk about on a future episode that's called a quick strike campaign, which is scaling up the door knockers efforts, right?
All right.
Yeah, same. We had a tree below on our roof, and the neighborhood got a lot of damage. And yes, magically, all the trucks are in the neighborhood, and people are knocking on doors, which does work, by the way. And could help them as long as the post office is delivering, which they do. So let's talk about start to finish, nuts to bolts, how we run one of these campaigns, because if this sounds like something that can work for you and you're in one of these categories where this campaign works, here's your step-by-step breakdown. So I don't actually usually have enough time to do that on podcast world, but this one's simple enough. I think we can. Okay. So number one is we choose our routes. So postal routes. And we have a tool on our website that you can see that. So the data I talked about, the income, the household stuff. It's jurassicmarketing.com/EDDM. Every door direct mail.
Is there a backbeat when you go to the part of the website?
Do we have a button for that?
We got a couple buttons. I don't know what. Yeah, they're all empty, evidently, except for that.
Yeah.
No, some EDM music for next time.
Oh man. No, so you can go on there, you can play, you can type in your address and look at routes around you. It's going to show you the demographics. It's also going to show you how many households are on that route. So a typical route in our neck of the woods is 150 to 300, if you're curious.
Oh, so it's fairly small then. We're not talking about 2,000 or 3,000 houses.
Yeah, no, the only way you would see much higher on a route is if it's very dense housing and they're cluster boxes.
Oh, okay.
Because again, this is like the route for a human being to deliver on throughout the course of a day. You will see commercial versus residential, and you can actually eliminate business addresses. So if you want to only send the residents, you can. You can't go the other way around, though. We can't send just businesses. Okay. You'll see the home ownership stats, household size, and you can begin to add them together to get to a quantity you want. So, yeah, you could send one route. You probably need a larger sample size than that to cause an impact. All right, so once you have your routes, we move to step 2. Step 2 is designing the piece. And typically, it's a postcard. For every door direct mail, postcard. So we want a nice, clear, big, bold headline on there. We want them to be able to see immediately what you do, what services you offer. A clear offer. So coupons work, as you had mentioned earlier. Consults can work for services and professional service providers or household service providers. Sometimes it doesn't have to be any more complex than call or text for an estimate. And we've seen that work. So you don't have to get crazy, although discounts work really well in EDDM world. And then finally, strong call to action. What are they supposed to do? How are they supposed to respond? Are they supposed to call, text, scan the QR code, go to the website, make it overly clear? Cannot stress this enough. You don't get a lot of time on a postcard. You don't have a lot of space. Make sure you know what you're doing. So that's your design in a nutshell. The other ones that work pretty well are just trying to look like flyers that you would drop in a mailbox. So you got a couple ways you can go with that. You can go with a letter, or you can go with a postcard that is very blatant and clear what the offer is. And you don't have to be sneaky on this. You know, we split test over time. If you're doing enough volume, it makes sense to test. But don't go crazy. There's not a lot of copy on these pieces. So design pretty easy. You don't have to go overly pretty either. This is not, it has to be on brand. If it was ours, it would have a dinosaur on it.
Yep.
But don't go crazy in graphic design world. And then you want to repeat. And in EDDM, you can often just send the same piece again.
Really? So it's not having to be creative to come up with a second one or a third one?
No, if you want to, seasonality, the offer should be limited time, by the way. They should expire. But you can repeat, you can recycle, you can, if you get like 3 of them and you're deeply hitting the same people, you can just keep rotating through them. And then beyond that, you can test. But that's it. So then you repeat, minimum three pieces going out.
Is it the same kind of timeline that you would do with a direct mail piece for a business?
It can be. It depends what service you're offering or what product you're offering. Pizza shop, more frequent.
Yep.
Estate planning attorney, a little less frequent.
Okay.
Still can work.
All right.
But, not as many people need that service during that time span. So a little longer lead cycle there. 3 to 4 touches, put it on an autopilot. And then the cool thing about this is once you have it, you have your art and your routes and everything. This is kind of a thing that you can come to us for and just say, okay, go. And it just repeats. So this is a continual run in the background. In a future episode, we'll talk about how we team this up with another media. But we can do everything. We can grab the maps and decide the routes. We can design the piece. We can get it printed, mailed, and we can repeat and manage that so you don't have to look at it again, which is pretty cool. So you just tell us what you're looking for, approve the design, let it go on autopilot. So it's one we kind of like from that sense that it's a repeat. It works. You kind of, after a few months, know what you're going to get, and it just runs in the background. You don't have to worry about it. All right, so let's talk about why people don't do this. So sounds great up to this point.
Here's the downside.
No, so number one is people think everyone throws away all the mail. They throw away most of the mail. They throw away stuff that's not relevant to them at that moment in time. Now,
and then about every 3 months, I'll throw away the mail that's important to me that has expired. Like the coupons for pizza that I'm like, I'm going to wait for the next one. You're right. I only save the things that matter to me. And then there's a little thing on the refrigerator that all that stuff gets stuffed into. And it's there when I need it.
Well, and different things matter at different times, right?
Yeah.
So even if we have the right household list, the right route, we have the right message, if it's still the wrong time, it's the wrong time. But you get that impression. You get more time than you would via any other media. People delete the emails too, obviously, and scroll past the Facebook ads, and the sponsored TikTok posts get scrolled by. Most is going to get tossed in with any media. That's to be expected. Myth number 2 is that it is too expensive to do every door direct mail. Now, the thing is, in offline world, every door direct mail is one of the cheapest ways to get your message out. So if you're going to mail and this method fits what you're trying to do, every door direct mail is going to be consistently one of your cheapest performers over and over. And so much so that your impression cost could be less than online. So if you're targeting highly online, you have that high impression cost, EDDM could hit the people you want at a lower rate, which is kind of interesting. And number 3 is the one we always get is, hey, it's extinct. It's outdated. No one does
I've heard that.
mail. Yeah.
I heard all that
kind of
mail
like
stuff.
a whole theme with the dinosaurs.
If it's on paper, dinosaurs, yeah, it's...
But we can get a higher response rate than digital if we have the right list or routes in this case, the right message or offer in this case, and the right timing, which sometimes involves repetition to get to. So any media is true for, by the way, is right list, message, timing, right offer, right person, right time. And this is a very inexpensive when it comes to real marketing way to get in front of people. So EDDM in a nutshell.
I mean, that's a 3 to 5 times. That's significant enough that could be something that produces significantly more profit.
Yeah, well, remember, if you serve an area around you, those houses don't change. Now,
True.
Some of the people in them do. And actually, next episode, we're going to talk about what do we do when people move in and out of our service area. But EDDM is definitely one of the simplest, most affordable tools for local growth using direct mail. And we'll talk next podcast episode about new mover campaigns, which is the counterpart to this. Still farming in a local service area. But I think we covered soup to nuts how to do that. If you want us to pull a route list for your business so you can see exactly what neighborhoods you can own and be the go-to person in, head over to jurassicmarketing.com/EDDM. Call or text us at 309-767-0004, and we'll get your business in those mailboxes and get a fence built around your local herd there. And we'll be back with more good stuff next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Triceratops podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave your comments. For more information on how Jurassic Marketing Direct Mail can help grow your business, visit jurassicmarketing.com.